The report said drizzle. I see no signs of it. So what I'm going to do, I haven't done this since Boy Scouts. There you go. Tuck the billiard cap inside your waist. I got too much junk. I can afford to lose a visor. I bought it thinking I was going to be using it a lot. I use the helmet more. My first attempt at getting a good rain hat. Alright, let me get this done because my heart's not really in this today. No, it's just like I did the 13 on Monday. But there was no time to rest and recover because I have to get ready for Thanksgiving. Cleaning up, making space, shopping. Yesterday I completely missed, overslept and completely missed out on walking. And then today almost overslept again. Started talking to the old man again. Only took 11 months. It's a crazy year. I knew the year was going to be crazy when I started it off being evacuated from my house. It was the house that exploded. One house almost burned down because the guys were cooking meth. There was a beehive. There was a death. One death in the neighborhood and one other person got moved out because he was old and infirmed. All kinds of crazy shit at work. Opening new wings, transitioning, getting rid of old programs. All this was going on, but I've been fighting off depression the whole year. Melancholy because a lot of reasons. get in there tomorrow. Give me some gin and tonic. Try to stay sociable a little bit. Try to stay lucid. Maybe I'll go for a long walk tomorrow. Revive an old Thanksgiving tradition. I used to walk 8 miles on Thanksgiving. One year I was stupid enough to do the turkey trot. When I walked it, it was a lot of fun, but that was in 2001. They had some morons running into buildings, and everybody was all patriotic and hooped up. And then I ran it that one year, 10 years later. I said, never again. They had so many people at that thing. I said, nah. I thought, well, maybe that was just an isolated event. Went to the Dallas Marathon, it was worse. So I just said to myself, I'll never go to quote-unquote fun runs because they're not fun for me. I can't believe yesterday it took me almost 12 hours to organize all those comic books. I got too many comics. And then I'd see something and I said, oh, I said, I want to read that. That looks interesting. Then I look at another thing. I was like, hey, something on my wish list was on sale. I better buy that. And in the back of my head, there's a voice there saying, why are you doing this? You're never going to read that. You're never going to have time to read that. This was Osamu Tezuka's greatest work. It's about subterfuge and blah, 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 blah. Steven Spielberg even praised the work, and I was like, yeah, and you're never going to read it. It's 300 pages long. Started skimming through a few of them. Saw a weird one where the girl had thought her teacher was a vampire. It turns out it wasn't the teacher that was the vampire. The teacher was the vampire's familiar. Started trying to figure out what was going on with history's mightiest disciple, Kenichi. That thing almost looks like it's Dragon Ball Z in its scope. It's just but it's a shonen loaded with fan service. I mean, loaded to the gills. And I tried to wrap my head around Seven Deadly Sins. I was like, that thing's got 500 issues? Or 280 something. One Piece has been gone for 20 years. 21 years. Let's put it this way, that One Piece has gone on so long, you might have someone's grandkids reading it for the first time. Like, gee, 3 generations have been reading the same manga Um, I didn't know that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, had a comic book run. And we're not talking about like maybe there's 1 or 2 years as kind of a joke thing. She had a 14-year run. It was 14 years of comic books for Cassandra Peters' character. 14 years. I can't remember how long she was on the air. But that's quite an accomplishment for a character that... For a cult character, basically. And then I heard rumors that she had stole the idea from someone else. There was another lady in the 50s who had kind of the same deal going on. It was they were talking about it in the movie Plan 9 from Outer Space, or the Ed Wood. She unsuccessfully sued Cassandra Peters for the character for copyright infringement. Elvira. I'm overdressed, but I can't tell. Now I'm sitting there trying to find if there's trying to see if I can find digital versions of the Claypool stuff that came out back in the 90s. But thinking I'm probably wasting my time because now Dynamite took up the series. And they're just going to rehash the same old thing. I didn't realize that Cyberforce had gone through 5 rewrites. I didn't realize it because I thought it was bad the first time around. I didn't think anybody would be stupid enough to try it 4 more times. So many comic books. Catwoman is on her 5th rewrite. Spider-Man, I don't know what's going on with that. Spider-Man got turned into a flavor of the month thing. Now there's a Spider team with a Spider universe. You don't like Spider-Man, they got Spider-Woman. You don't like Spider-Woman, you got Spider-Girl. You don't like Caucasian Spider-Man, that's okay. We've got other ethnicities you can try out and sample. We got a Spider-Man that wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider, but he's got a robot suit that makes him like Spider-Man, I guess. You got Spider-Man from the future. And if you don't like any of that, you just want to be old school, that's okay. We've got 3 different flavors of Spider-Man you can try. You can try Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. I made the joke one time when I went to the comic book shop. I said, you know what scares me about this is someone's going to find all this stuff, and this will be the only thing that they found from our civilization. And they'll build a whole religion around this. The Church of Spider-Man. And the funny thing was the comic book guys didn't even miss a beat. They started going off in a different sects of cults that we had. And it's like, yeah, and then there's the clone sect. Yeah, nobody talks about them. They're the heretics. Spider-Man, who you've known and loved. Turned out all this time he was a clone. Spider-Man who can barely keep up with crime in 2 blocks of New York City suddenly has to fight a celestial being in the Infinity Wars. And he's a leader. Not Captain America, not somebody in the Fantastic Four, no, Spider-Man. Okay? Spider-Man's villains get spin-offs. Venom got a spin-off. Carnage got a spin-off. Kraven the Hunter got a spin-off. Morbius got a spin-off. They're all Spider-Man villains. Meanwhile, poor Captain America, he can't be by himself. They tried, it doesn't run all that well. So they stick him on a team. This is why we do it? Yeah. Yeah, this is why we do it. Did you say something to me in Klingon? You speak Klingon? Not really. I barely speak English. Too many comic books. Got a backlog of football games I want to watch. All I can really think about is the ones coming up this Saturday. All the rivalry games. Interstate rivalries. And what sucks is ever since A&M moved over to the SEC, no longer is the Texas A&M Texas game played. I really miss it. I've had to make do with Texas Oklahoma, but it's not really the same. This dude still ain't got this fence put up? At this point I'm thinking that maybe he just wants it this way. Got a backlog on Netflix now. Because Netflix keeps releasing stuff, and it turns out I like a lot of the stuff they release. They had a Ron White. They had a Ron White special. I wasn't gonna miss that though. And he got old though. Everybody's got old. Saw him finish four fingers of scotch on stage, and then pour another glass. And I was like, "Damn it, dude!" At this point, I don't even think the scotch affects it. I think he just drinks it. It's like he's drinking bottled water. People say, "Oh, it's just a prop." And somebody said, "No, he's the one guy said, I was in the front row. It ain't a prop, man. I can smell his breath." So it is cold out here. See condensation breath. Not as cold as Monday though. He didn't go off into his normal sets, because everybody's heard it by now. Everybody talks bad about Texas, but that's the one thing that many folks will pay to see. Is the old Texas gentleman. I guess I call it gentleman. I use the term really loosely. The old Texas gentlemen that have lived life and have stories to tell. Walking around like modern day Mark Twains. Like I was saying before, Randy Galloway is one of those guys. Happy Thanksgiving, Coco. She ain't as spry as she used to be. She doesn't even jump any. Like, she's just looking at me, she barks. She used to jump. Sometimes she'd try almost jump over that. One time she got stuck. I look at the old girl and she don't jump no more. She still barked though. She still let me know, hey, don't come in this house. I'll make a lot of noise. And I was like, before you used to snap and look like you were gonna bite me. She don't bite no more. Maybe she just ain't got the teeth. I never had a problem with Coco. One time she got out of the yard, I looked at her and I said, "You gonna do something, do something." She was uncharacteristically quiet and walked off. That's why I found out her name was Coco. Heck, I think I got that on camera. Turducken double cross. Turducken. I told that to a guy, and I know he's from Texas. Dad works in the oil patch. I said, "You never heard of turducken?" And I told him it's a duck stuffed inside of a goose stuffed inside of a turkey and chicken and turkey, chicken, goose, and duck. He said, "Oh," he said, "that sounds awful." I'm like, all right. With cornbread stuffing. And buttermilk marinade. You getting hungry thinking about it? I'm not looking forward to the meal anymore. Like I said, all I can think about right now is that I'm going to be sitting there trying to toss down about 3 drinks at least, and maybe try some absinthe. Bought me a bottle of absinthe. I said, you know, I was like, you know, I bought into the hype, and I said, yeah, I'm curious enough. I don't think I'm going to be hallucinating or anything, but it's just the fact that it's a banned drink. You want to see what the hype's all about. And I got all these morons on YouTube. I got all these morons on the internet, and they are morons. But you got to put a sugar cube down. You got to do this. And sometimes it helps if you light the whole thing on fire. And I'm like, oh, God, no. And I can't find it. It was the interview years ago, and they said this is how you drink it. And all the guy did was he took a pitcher filled with ice water, and he opened the spigot, and he let it drip inside of the absinthe, and then the absinthe eventually, the water and the absinthe mixed, and it turned all smoky and cloudy, and then there was a little green line, and at that point that was ready to, it was when the mixture got cloudy and all you saw was this green line on top, it was ready to drink. And that's it. No spoons, no fucking sugar cubes, no lighting the sugar cube on fire, no soaking it in something, just put some ice water in it until it turns cloudy and drink it. For all the good advice I get on the internet, I get a lot of misinformation. The good advice I got on there, I went on WebMD, I said, I think I got a bunion too. It's like, if it's bad, you'll need surgery. Otherwise, just try stretching it. Stretching it, so you just pull on the toe and hold it. And so I started stretching the toe, and the pain went away. I had back problems earlier in this year. I started doing that simple stretch where you bend over. That's all you do. You bend over until your face almost touches your knees. Back pain went away. But then every once in a while you get this stupid shit. There's only a handful of sites that I trust. Snopes is one of the ones I kind of trust. Because at least they're skeptical about even their own answers. They look at it and they say, eh. I used to kind of trust Quora. Until I became one of the guys that started answering on Quora. I was like, if people are going to, if they let me put advice up there, it must be a bad site. You know, I answer questions, and then I get people requesting me answer more questions, and I'm like, okay. Some of it I think is just phishing to see if they can get your bank account information. Other people just are responding because I always give smart ass answers. I think I'm going to make it up here and the gate's going to be closed. But if the gate's closed, I'm not going to be mad, that's for damn sure. I'm going to take that as a sign. Nope, it's open. It looks open. Gates are open. For how much longer? Like I said, I didn't want to be starting off at 9 o'clock, but I fucking did. I'm so tired. I started putting hours up there. How quaint. What do you suppose that's all about? It's for me. More precisely, it's for what I bring. I do it. Folks see me doing it. So I guess they've had some folks coming in here at crazy hours. Does that mean that when the cops come by, they'll say, "Hey, you can't be here"? And I was like, "Oh, if he comes by, he comes by. I ain't gonna fucking worry about it." No, the game would never let me be alone. It does make me chuckle a bit, though. They actually posted hours. You know what happened. Some numbskull came up here and did something they weren't supposed to. That seems to be the answer to everything around here. Oh, we had a problem. Let's make another rule. Yeah, because that flimsy rule was what was keeping, what caused it to happen. Not being there was what caused it to happen in the first place. Right. I feel so much safer now that flimsy rule's in place. If an asshole came in here and did something they weren't supposed to, chances are science is not going to stop them from being an asshole. Like I said, I think they only did that so that the cop could have something to do. They come by and harass you. Did you see the sign? I did, and I willfully ignored it. So we're going to jail or what? Put that on my record. Although they won't put that on my record. They'll say I was resisting arrest or some other bullshit. Go to a job interview. I said, let me show you the YouTube video. Does that look or sound like I was resisting arrest? Of course, there's a good chance they'll take the camera. And while they're holding it in evidence, the data conveniently accidentally got erased off of it. You ask me to leave, I'll simply leave. My heart's not in it tonight. There will be no protest. There will be no kicking up a stink, as the folks across the pond say. And yeah, some days I would fancy kicking up a stink. Right now all I want to do is get around here, get my black ass home and eat me something and go to bed. I'm tired. I still got shopping to do. Gotta pick up bags of ice, bottled water, and some lemon juice for my tonic. Or lime juice. I had no idea that vermouth. Learned something new this week. I didn't know that vermouth was wine. To be honest with you, I didn't know what it was. Never had a martini in my life. Most of the people I know, they don't drink cocktails. It's straight up, man. Beer, straight up. No, I don't know anybody who drinks Boilermakers. I don't know anybody who drinks highballs, Long Island iced teas, Manhattans, old fashions. Most of the folks I know, they barely use a glass. I take mine straight from the head. But I hang around a beer and wine crowd. David was the one who introduced me to hard liquor. Gotta miss him. But he he got me hooked on gin and tonics. Ironically, before that I had a coach up here. He used to drink rum and cokes. It was a cold day outside. I said, man, I'm freezing. He said, here, don't tell anybody, but have a nip of this. I'm drinking his Coke. Ooh, Coke's got a little kick to it, Coach. So I've had many a rum and Coke, but it's such an easy drink to make. I had a girl at the strip club. She gave me more rum than she gave me Coke. It was rum, Coke. That was my best friend's girlfriend. She took a sip and she goes, "Oh, yeah, that's such and such. If she likes you, she adds more alcohol." And I was like, "Okay, well, thank you." David got me hooked on gin and tonic, and we'd sit around. We were supposed to, like I think I said this last time I was here, supposed to be looking for a job, and we're finishing off a fifth of a wild turkey. David had me so drunk. What the hell was I watching? Brazil. We were watching like Terry Gilliam stuff, and David Lynch. You think a Razorhead is bad sober? Try it. Try it when you've had a few. You think the cops gonna come by? Nope. They're gonna be busy. I had one in front of the house. Looks like by the time he gets here anyway, I'll have 7 out under my belt. Said 7 and I'm thinking about 7 Up. I want a real 7 Up. Just once I want to try it. I'm talking about the original formula. I want a lithiated 7 Up. So yeah, the original 7 Up had lithium. All these drinks had all this stuff that people were talking about. I heard Dr. Pepper had morphine in it. Coca-Cola had cocaine or Coca juice, which they probably should just put it back in there. Coca juice by itself is no more. caffeine and taurine are more potent than coca. But you know, this country, everybody overreacts to everything. They found out the kids in Latin America were chewing on coca leaves to stimulate them, and so they can get through their school days. And everybody just kicked up a fuss, except for people who live there. Oh, you can't have those kids taking cocaine. Coca leaves and cocaine are two totally different things, man. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of chemical engineering to leach cocaine out of coca leaves. It takes a lot of coca leaves. You're gonna damage the kids you haven't taken coca leaves. I was like, you're damaging your kids having them drink caffeinated drinks. Caffeine is the purest part. Is the refined chemical stuff that you get. I can't remember what leaves it comes out of. Actually, it's just naturally in stuff. You have to go through a lot of coca beans to get caffeine. I mean, pure caffeine. Two capfuls of caffeine are enough to kill you. 2 capfuls of cocaine, and that's just getting the party started. Cocaine is so mild compared to caffeine, it's not even funny. It's weird. But yeah, Coca-Cola with coca extract in it. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I definitely need a rest. There's no pop in my legs. Started reading one called Alabaster about a skinny Southern girl who basically became the supernatural sheriff for the dirty South. And she knew she was in the presence of something supernatural when her angel started speaking to her. Her angel had 4 faces, wings, would always float above her, and let out a powerful shriek, and sometimes carried a fiery sword. I don't know what kind it is. They all have names, almost as if God had a battle fleet with different models. He had his recon class angels, his destroyer class angels, his battleship angels, his aircraft carrier angels. And many things have been written about vampires. There's probably about the same amount of things written about angels. Nicolas Cage played both a vampire and an angel. Well, not technically, he wasn't a vampire. He was the guy who thought he was becoming a vampire. That was a weird movie. Because it was funny, but then it wasn't. It was funny when he thought he was becoming a vampire. It wasn't funny when he started actually acting like one. I've seen a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, man. And it's not like I was trying to. It was just that there was a moment where he was in every goddamn thing. That was when I was unemployed. When you're unemployed, they always play Nicolas Cage movies. Late at night, you're watching cable or cable-ish, basic cable. There'll be a Nicolas Cage movie on somewhere. Bringing Out the Dead. Leaving Las Vegas. Raising Arizona. Was it Kiss of the Vampire? Face Off. Friends dragged me to see him, and he was in some movie where he was going to a fight. Somebody got murdered in the fight, and Nicolas Cage had to figure out who did it. Can't remember how that went. Forgettable movie. He just had a line in there, something about velvet ropes being parted. God, I saw Ghost Rider. Ugh. I still cringe when I think about that movie. Nicolas Cage didn't want to be in it. The guys filming it didn't want to film it. It was just this really lame attempt to cash in on comic book movies, and it was awful. Right, 6. Oh, Windtalkers. Never saw the one where he had the mandolin. I never saw anything where they tried to make him softer. Because they don't play that late at night. That's for the daytime crowd. Us night folks, we get the weird perverted stuff. Ringing Out the Dead was probably one of his finest films. And he looked awful in that movie. He looked like a zombie the whole time he was walking around. He just had these sunken eyes. And Nicolas Cage is a pale guy anyway. They made him look paler. I don't know, maybe he was doing the whole goth thing where he just kept out of the sun. He looked like at any moment he was going to croak. He's supposed to be helping people. He looked like he needed help himself. You watch late night movies, you get to know 3 names very well. There was Christopher Lambert, Rutger Hauer. Okay, just 2 names. But I guess the 3rd name, I was going to think of the girls. You had the Shannons. Yeah, Shannon Worry, redhead with really nice boobs. And then you had Shannon Tweed, blonde lady with a big chin and big boobs. There was a guy that he was starting to emerge. He was kind of an action star, but I can never remember his name. James Remar. I used to see James Remar in everything. I was like, why do they keep putting him in films? I can't stand the guy. Like they said, he plays the same character every time. He's got this monotone voice. Like, he would be a great voice actor for cartoons. He could do Lobo. He could do any character you need that just kind of drones on him when he talks. I saw I knew Black Lightning might not be making it to a 2nd season. I was like, oh, James, you cast James Remar. Really? Was Rutger Hauer not available? James Remar was like the third string. It was Rutger Hauer, Christopher Lambert was the backup, James Remar was the third string. He was in The Quest. He was in the Mortal Kombat sequel that nobody wanted to make. He was in Aliens. I think he was an Alien. No, that was Lance Henriksen the whole time, but there was a time when I couldn't tell the two guys apart. Well, like Lance Henriksen, he was trying to be low-key. He was trying to be calm and collected and wouldn't. James Remar, he tries to emote, and it still comes out flat. There was a time period where all I saw on the TV was Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel's a fine actor, but in every movie he has to do something gross. I swear there's something in his contract. It's like, is there a gross scene in this? It's like it's a kid's film. Why would there be a gross scene? Put one in. You know how I work. Alright, Harvey. Do it for you. In a kid's film, picking his nose. We don't know why the Grinch is picking his nose. He just is. He's the Grinch. One movie he chops off somebody's finger. Another movie he poses nude. And another one he's masturbating into a window. Tells the girl, "Get your chin higher." Bad Lieutenant. That's a movie where it's so bad it's good. It's a train wreck and you just can't stop watching it. Harvey Keitel was in it there. He was in The Piano, Get Shorty, all the Tarantino films that they would show late at night, especially on the IFC. There was a time where they kept putting Thomas Jane and everything. Thought he was going to be the next Christopher Lambert. Even gave him an HBO series. He's in The Punisher. I had the unfortunate distinction in my lifetime of watching movies during the independent film explosion. So that meant that everything I watched was weird. And now I can't get into a movie unless it's weird. It's like, no, I need this to be weird. I'll sleep through a Lifetime movie because I think everybody sleeps through a Lifetime movie. Not even a generation passes by and they're so forgettable. Excuse me. So forgettable. He Done Her Wrong, starring some guy. Some guy and that washed up old soap actress. He was the perfect man. She fell for him at first sight. He was everything she'd hoped he'd be. Until they got married. Then the guy just becomes a raving, barking psychopath. Well, I guess now, what is it? He Done Her Wrong, starring Julia Roberts. And some guy who got too many arrests or was on Hollywood's blacklist, and Michael Madsen. I don't think Michael Madsen would ever do a Lifetime movie, but we need the money. Expecting that guy to come up to me, hey man, can't you read that sign? I'd say, buddy, I can read it just fine. You see any cops around here? You can call one if you like. I'm almost done. I don't know what happened to homeboy. Saw him walking up here, saw him coming up on the track. Maybe he saw me and just disappeared. Maybe he was having an argument with his old lady or something. Just needed to run it off. And unfortunately, I was here. All I can tell him is, buddy, I've been coming off and on for this track for over 20 years. One thing I've never been is alone. Some jackass always shows up. This is what I was talking about in summer. I said that needle drops, you won't be seeing all these people. Although sometimes they're proving me wrong. You folks are getting more resilient. Maybe I'll humble brag. It's because of me. It's me. They see me out here. You know, it's me. Robert De Niro. I'd see him in a lot of stuff. Robert De Niro never turns out a job. He does good and bad movies. Him and Liam Neeson. Oh my God. I was like, man, does Liam Neeson never say no to anything? He's in one. He'll be in the movie playing Harvey, the Puka. In the remake of that James Stewart movie. They'll cast Ryan Gosling or something in it. He'll be playing. He's supposed to be hallucination, but It'll either be CGI or they'll just have Liam Neeson wearing a bunny suit, like that dude in that Willard TV show. I couldn't get into Willard. I can't even remember why I watched one episode of it. It got recommended to me. I started watching it. I said, nah. Maybe it was just because I saw Elijah Wood and I got heartbroken. He's this cute little kid with bright blue eyes. Now look at him, he kind of looks like the creepy uncle. I think SimCity did him, man. I think when people saw that he could play creepy convincingly, that's all he got stuck in playing, was creepy. And he must be a masochist, because every other child actor, they learn, they say, you know what, I made my money, I dealt with the fucked up place that Hollywood is, I'm not going back for more. Not Elijah Wood. He's going back for seconds and thirds and fourths, making me wonder if he secretly has, or maybe not even secretly, has a leather suit and a zipper mask. Shit, Elijah Wood would make a great gimp. You put him in a movie with Shia LaBeouf and you can amplify that creepiness. They'd be a gay S&M couple. Next thing you know, Oscar nomination. It's like, what? Did you see that movie? Yeah, it was disturbingly weird, wasn't it? Yeah. That's why I got the Oscar nod. Okay. What do 40-year-old white guys like? They like crazy shit. They want a little bit outside of my crazy comfort zone. I say a little bit because I can kind of dig it. I watched Crash. Weird as that movie was, and the only fault I had with it was its pacing. The material was kind of interesting. Folks who fetish is to reenact crashes with as little safety equipment as possible. They get off on getting hurt and surviving these wrecks. I think that's what the movie was about. It was one of those, like I said, it's another one of those movies I watched when I was unemployed. People were talking in the foreground, and I didn't mind that they were talking while I was trying to watch this. I was like, you know what, this movie isn't going anywhere. What were you saying? Yeah, no, it's a crying shame what that guy did. Yeah, walking the Appalachian Trail, whatever. And it wasn't that Mark Sanford had an affair. That doesn't bug people. Is that he did it while having a platform of moral superiority. Well, God and my wife forgive me, so it's alright. No, Mark. Not when you're the guy pointing fingers at other people for their moral failings. It's not alright. You can't be both guys. That's why I can't understand why Jimmy Swaggart made a comeback. I was like, you people, I get it, forgive, please don't forget. He burned you once, he's gonna burn you again. That's kind of the cool but bad thing about this country is you can get to a certain point, they just don't punish you. The only crime in this country is being poor. Poor and ignorant. We didn't arrest you because you were distributing crack cocaine. We did it because you were stupid about it. Seriously, that's what your crime is. You were stupid about it. You were stupidly running a sex trafficking ring. You didn't go high class enough. You didn't pay the right people. Al Capone didn't go to jail for vice. He went to jail because he was being lavish with his vice, with the money from his vices. That's really what it was. He got busted for bragging. I made so much money. Did you pay taxes on it? Whoops. Come on, Al. You got reservations at the Great Bar Hotel. It's not that you killed your wife, it's that you weren't discreet about it. They never would have got BTK, but the BTK just said, look, I need some attention. I've been doing this for years and you guys have been looking the other way. If I sent this in, would you bust me for it? I forget what people say they busted him for. It was either they traced him based on the stationery he used, or it was something he did that it was almost like he just purposely gave himself away. Like he was just tired of the cat and mouse. It was more cat and less mouse. So I guess we are a free nation. Unless you're poor and stupid. You did 10. I did 10 while talking because I'm very tired. It's the only thing keeping me from falling over. I'm not talking to the camera, I'm just talking to myself. The camera just happens to be catching all of this. Maybe I'm crazy. Not maybe. I am crazy. Like the shirt says, I'm not suffering from insanity. I'm actually kind of enjoying it. I'm digging it. I don't know if, like I said, I'm not expecting a different result. I do the same thing over and over again. What are my expectations? To maintain. That might be insanity. I really don't care if I live or die at a certain point. So I guess I'm kind of insane in that aspect. I'm just looking at death as the ultimate vacation. That's why I'm kind of digging it. But, given how sucky things are, I'd probably die and there'd probably be more work. Yeah, you thought that one was going to get you out of there, right? Nah, it turns out there's more work, man. Sorry, good try though. There you are in purgatory doing paperwork. So much paperwork. Alright, there's nothing left in these legs. I hadn't lifted all week. Took a break from lifting because Thanksgiving's gonna be fucked up anyway. So took a workout break. No pop. So they're doing sprints. I'm talking the whole reason I'm talking is because I never got a moment where it felt like the muscles were going, hey! The engine never revved. Instead I was doing this. I'm chitty chitty bang banging the whole way. I'm misfiring here, man. What's going on? One of your cylinders is frozen. Doesn't seem to be affecting the rest of the engine, but you got nothing. You're only running on probably a 4-cylinder engine. I was a 4-cylinder engine that tried to be a 6. We got discouraged when I saw the V8s out there. John Randall's a fucking V8. Hell, John Randall might be that German over-engineered piece of shit, the V12. More power than you'll ever need. I was like, you know what? I think I'm intense, but I'll never match that level of intensity. God, John Randall. I don't even think there's guys like him in the NFL anymore. I kind of wonder if he was on something, but I think he was just naturally high. He's just one of those guys that... You swear the guy was on meth. They put his bust in the Hall of Fame, and I could swear that his Hall of Fame bust has the eye black all over it. I used to say as a Cowboy fan, I'd be like, how come Dallas can never seem to get these guys? And it actually did get a guy like that. It got DeMarcus Ware. Ware was a beast, man. Everyone else be playing down there. Marcus Ware. Oop, he just lit up to Peyton Manning. I remember that game. I don't think it was 21-0. Wade Phillips was the coach back when Gutless Wade was running stuff. And poor Peyton Manning didn't know what to do. He looked lost that whole game. The Cowboys didn't look stellar on offense, but they had scored enough points to pretty much salt it away. Peyton Manning looked like he just got it figured out. He's getting ready to pass. There's DeMarcus Ware, blindside hit, just laid him out. And then I just got sad. I got melancholy because it was just like, because he was a great player on a bad team. And then I felt bad for Jason Witten. And I kept saying, I wish they would just trade him. He won't ever leave, but I wish they would just trade him. I wish he could go to another team, get him a ring. You know, Witten would have fitted perfectly with the Patriot system, but they had Gronk. They had Aaron Rodriguez before they found out his brain was Swiss cheesed. Aaron Hernandez. They had Aaron Hernandez before they figured out his brain was Swiss cheesed. Jason Witten goes down there, picks him up a ring. Maybe the ring is not important. After all, it's a team effort. If he can't get with the Cowboys, then it's not worth getting. Look, I feel like Ware earned his, man. He took a team that, bottom line is, he was the heart and soul of that team. They won that championship, and they had him, and they had a lot of pass rushers. They had him, and they had what's his name, Doomerville. It wasn't as great as he could have been, but with the Marcus Ware on one side, Doomerville could all of a sudden shine, and then they had the other guy from Von Miller. So you got three guys who were just motor pass rushers. I think they even had Victor Butler at one point. Victor Butler just never made it in the NFL because I guess he was a 5-foot, excuse me, pumpkin loaf double cross. There's always some fucker coming by when I do that. It's like they're waiting for it. You want the double cross, I'll give it to you. Like that sign says on the restaurant, served all day, baby. Double cross. Anyway, Victor Butler. He was part of the Dirty Dozen that Wade Phillips and them had drafted that one year. Came out, I think it was Tech. He came from one of the Texas schools. The dude was just a hawk around he was always pressuring the quarterback, but he just couldn't fit. He couldn't make it in the NFL for some reason. And I think that's because they're always biased against linebackers who are under 6 feet tall. He could have got on with Philadelphia. They had short defensive ends who were just track stars. They get down on all fours. As soon as the ball was snapped, it was no technique, just rush straight to the quarterback. If the NFL wasn't such asshats about being able to replay their stuff, I'd probably watch that whole season with the, because I didn't know what was going on. I was working most of the time. I just remember that Denver had Peyton Manning, and they were struggling, and people were writing them off, and then somehow they got into the playoffs, and then they clicked at just the right time. Kind of looked like the Baltimore Ravens at one point. Man, that was a vicious team. It looked like a vicious team, and then Dan Marino. Was it Dan Marino? I think it was Dan Marino. Picked them apart, because that's what he does. Here Everybody talks about their spectacular defenses, and then here comes Dan Marino throwing for 500 yards. It shows you the weaknesses of the defense, and then everybody copies that. Apparently, you can pass on the Baltimore. You could pass on the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. You could do dinks and dunks and screens, and hope they lost discipline, and then when they did, you just wear them out. The 85 Bears were weak. The 46 defense was weak against the pass. Great at stopping the run. And who was the only guy that beat the Chicago Bears that year? Dan Marino and the Dolphins. Even though I'll never watch another NFL game, I keep wondering if there'll ever be another perfect team. No, not anymore. Free agency pretty much eliminated the ability for there ever to be a perfect team. That and the fact that they're talking about making a longer season. Because what we're talking about is consistency. That's one thing the NFL ain't got anymore. Last year it felt weird not watching any games. This year it just feels natural. You start to think things like, why is there even a professional football league in the first place? Like, it's just for gamblers. Because I was like, these guys suck. I was like, it's not fun to watch these games. Other than the fact that they're in your city, you don't really care about them all that much. Not like college football. There's stories in college football. NFL just feels like the story's over. The guy makes it to the NFL, even if he doesn't make it. That's $1 million a year that he's guaranteed. Be smart with it. He can live off that. The tragedy of the NFL comes in the fact that these folks have families. And I've seen so many families that were banking on that was their lottery ticket. They thought the kid was gonna get in there and be something great. They're buying the kid cars, they're maxing out their credit cards because they just think it's a sure thing. And the kid don't make it. Everybody's in debt looking at him, and he's out there driving trucks. Because he wasn't in college to get an education, he was just there to get to the next level. Does the degree do much for you? Unfortunately, a degree is just part of the marketing. You don't get it, and bam, it's the job. You get it, and then you network with people. Then hopefully you actually cracked open a book and studied something instead of giving a good grade, and you show some competency, and you get your foot in the door. You work for a while, they dig you. You pick up some more spills, you network some more. and then you make it. You get there in your 30s, then you're pushing 40. You're an established name. And that's how it works. But if you ain't got the degree, all the lack of degree shows you is that maybe you're a quitter. Like experience can make up for a degree, a lack of a degree. It just takes longer. Unless you started out as a kid, your dad was a programmer, your parents went to college, and they taught you some tricks of the trade, then that's a whole nother matter. I think guys like that should be able to test out of college. But if you know absolutely jack squat, it's hard. And if you know jack squat, don't expect the college to teach you anything either. All the college does is test you. You have to be the one who picks it up. A lot of times they give me these books and they give me this useless ass instructor, and I use neither. I had to go on YouTube to figure it out. I had to just sit there and tinker with whatever I was supposed to tinker with. And you just hope they get it. Math is not quite that though. They actually do have useful teachers for math. But like computer science, I'm being taught by a guy who was in the industry 20 years ago. And most of what he knows went by the wayside. Although I am still amazed that we use Fortran and COBOL still. Sometimes those languages don't go away because of incompetency, stupidity, and just cheapness. Like take this city for example. The street traffic control programs were written way back in the 70s. It was maintained on an old IBM mainframe computer system, and Dallas just never upgraded. And they didn't want to buy a new package to have somebody completely come in there and do it all over again. So they've just been spending money like crazy trying to maintain this shit. And then they got a guy that they pay. They got freelance programmers they pay every once in a while in their 50s and 60s who knew those programming languages. Oh yeah, I'll come in there and tidy up that spaghetti code a little bit. The original guy died or retired and just never wanted to go back to doing it. Or worst case scenario, you fired him or he quit. Took his bag of coding and codes with him. And like I said, God help the guy who has to come in there after the fact. First he has to decipher that mess. Then he has to fix the bug. Then he has to upgrade it. That's the problem they're having with emulation right now. You got an old Nintendo game that was written with a certain graphic architecture and hardware architecture in mind. And these guys are using jump and register return instructions that they teach you not to do. They teach you not to do this stuff, and these guys were doing it because they had deadlines, and they were doing anything they could to make it work. They beta tested, it looked like it kept working, so it just keeps working. You take that original code and you try to port it to something today and it don't work. Architecture changed. All that programming stuff they told you not to do, this is the reason why they told you not to do it, because now we're trying to sit there and put it on something else. And it's so tightly around to that one set architecture that we have to almost completely rewrite the game. But if we do that, we might have a problem where something in the game is lost. The sweet spot in double dribble is lost. The little quirk that wound up being a nice feature in the game, like Star Fox, you lose that in the game. Ghosts and Goblins versus Ghouls and Ghosts, whatever the name of the game is. You lose all those magical safe spots because the timing changed. Because now the architecture runs faster. Before you couldn't have so many sprites on the screen. Now you can have as many as you want. It's like, we got 16 gigs of RAM, man. You're not gonna run out of you're not gonna run out of renderability. The ghost that was the little skeleton that was chasing you, he's not gonna slow down to 1/8 in a second like he did before. So now you gotta relearn the game and the new save spots. Speed runs become onerous because maybe there aren't any save spots anymore. And you can't recreate the hardware. There's a reason why we don't make it like that anymore. Even the way the games look visually has changed. I found that out the hard way when I was sitting there trying to get those old video game systems to work on brand new flat screen plasma TVs. The interlacing looks all wrong. Because this stuff was written for 480, it was rated for 480 progressive. How was it written? It was some kind of way they did the NTSC and PAL TVs. The analog signals were different from, the resolution was different from the way it looks on a pure digital TV. So the computer tries to translate the best it can, and it does either two things. It either shows you too many, like it shows you all these lines, and so the characters look all grainy and the colors are off, or it doesn't show you anything at all. Because the computer looks at, or the chip looks at it and says, I have no idea what to do with this, and it just goes blank. So I'm out here buying all these converters and kits, and I had that problem with the VHS tapes I bought. I had VHS tapes, I'm trying to convert them over to digital. You can't just take a VCR, plug it into an AV input port on your computer and play it and then record that stuff. Because there's a sync issue. And suddenly you start doing things like researching AV clubs where guys are really snarky, and the equipment is old, outdated equipment that's too damn expensive. Well, you can get this $2,000 time domain multiplexer. I was like, I could, but I won't. And then one guy said something on the forum that's sensible. He says, you know, back in the 90s they had these VCR to DVD converters. Just use that. And that's what I did. I bought a stack of DVDs, popped my tapes in there, converted all of them over to CDs, or excuse me, DVDs, and the DVDs are pure digital format. And it wasn't nothing for me to take the digital and rip it over to my computer and turn it into an MP4 file, or MP4 I don't even use. I had to learn all those damn formats. Matroska, AVI, 4 or 5 different flavors of MPEG. Apple tried to have its own format, MOV format. Windows had one, WMI and WMV, WMA. In the end, the one that wins out is always the open source one, because the Linux guys port it out and then they'll give it to the other. They're not the Windows, the Linux guys will port it out for free, and next thing you know, the Windows guys grab it, so that becomes the standard. So what became the standard? MP4. We got a lot more Brits coming into this country. I mean, to this city. Anyway, like I was saying, you got H.264, which is what YouTube uses. H.264 with AAC sound format. I didn't want to learn all this shit. I just had to, because it was like, I'm a man who loves his porn. I've had a lot of old porn. And so you're going to learn AV terms and equipment if you want to preserve your old porn. If you love old video games, you got to learn all this stuff. Suppose I didn't like porn. Suppose I liked Disney films and I had everything on the home video collection. Well, I would have learned the same. I would have been talking about the same stuff. Only difference is Pollyanna doesn't get down on her knees. Well, actually she does, because there's always a parody of Disney in porn. Haley Mills won't be getting down on her knees. She's too damn old for that now. Man, I used to think she was so hot. I was a kid watching stuff, not realizing that the cute girl I'm watching, who I think is my age, is now a 40-year-old grandma. And she goes a guest star on some TV show with Punky Brewster, and you're like, what happened to her? She's an old lady now. I was like, well, Pollyanna came out in 1964, like 20 years before you were born. 20, 30 years. I used to watch the Patty Duke show as a teenager. Oh, the reruns, of course, not the original run. Oh man, I love me some Patty Duke. God, I thought she was hot. Not hot, but cute. Is she even still alive? All I know is that was Sean Austin's mother. Oh, she passed away, didn't she? His dad's still going strong. The original Gomez Adams. He just seems like such a nice guy. Even when he was playing bad guys in the movie, he just seemed like such a nice guy. Like, the only guy who seems like he was genuinely a nice guy and no one ever talked bad about him was Bing Russell. I'm sitting there watching Kurt Russell give a tribute to his dad, and then there's nobody saying really anything bad about the guy. Dies of a heart attack. Turns out he was a baseball nut. Had a minor league team that beat a major league team. Where Kurt Russell was the player on it. And I guess that's why Kurt Russell didn't really care if he won the Oscar or not, or he didn't care if he got the platitudes of people in Hollywood. Kurt Russell beat a major league baseball team as a kid. Nothing else. Everything else pales in comparison to that. It's like Kurt Russell says, man, I know what the fuck I can do. Kurt Russell is confident. He goes out and he does a movie and he's having fun. And everybody hates on him for that. And I was like, hate on him, I don't care. I'm watching a man have fun on film. You know how priceless that is? Kevin Spacey never looked like he was having fun on film. A hell of an actor, but he never looked like he was having fun. Even Tommy Lee Jones doesn't look like he's having fun. He's kind of having fun, but he's not really having. It looks like it's still kind of work for him. But not Kurt Russell. And I know what'll happen. I'll be almost 60 years old. He'll be almost 80, 90. And they'll give him one of those stupid Lifetime Achievement Awards. And he'll just kind of look at it and it's like, well, thanks for nothing. Throw it in the pile. Go back to hugging Goldie Hawn, because at that age, that's about the only sexual action he'll be probably. I don't know. I think his parts will still be working even into his hundreds. That's what a Lifetime Achievement Award is. It's almost like a, sorry you're dying, here's your consolation prize. Sorry we couldn't get this to you when you were at the peak of your career. The thanks for nothing prize. The key thing about Jerry Lewis, he got an Oscar nomination for being in a film, and his reply was, I didn't do anything. He really did. He was in the movie, he was in a cab giving some guy advice, or he was in the back of a limousine giving some guy advice. And that was his whole role in the movie. What do I think of Jerry Lewis films? They're greatness. They're so offbeat, and sometimes you be watching it. It can be a bit dry at times, but considering the era, they were actually kind of ahead of their time. But unfortunately, it's Jerry Lewis, so it just pissed off a lot of people. You think about Krusty the Clown, and I kind of think that's, even though the Simpsons said they were basing it on some guy that was at there when they grew up, I really think they based him on Jerry Lewis. A celeb jerk. Keep in mind it's almost midnight.